Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm going to read to you today the story of Emma, titled I Laughed at My Aunt's Joke, and that joke cost my family everything. You want to know how it happened? Then let's go. Before the end of that day, my mom, my dad, and my grandparents had secretly lost their entire inheritance. They lost their lifeline. They lost their $40,000 down payment. They lost their ability to pay the mortgage. And they lost their house. All because of four stupid words and a moment of laughter. I know this sounds extreme, but this is the truth of how my Aunt Judy, our family's secret ATM, deleted us from her life. My name is Emma, and I was sitting right there when the cruelest joke I've ever heard left my aunt frozen at the back gate. I was one of the people who laughed. And I watched every single consequence of that moment unfold in slow motion. This isn't just a story about money. It's about what happens when greed finally snaps the kindest person you know. My Aunt Judy wasn't just wealthy. She was our financial oxygen. She lived simply and had no children, and my parents treated that fact like a trust fund marked just for them. She was kind, always. That kindness manifested in big ways. A $3,000 transfer for my braces, no questions asked. A $1,500 laptop for my brother, Tyler, for school. And the largest one, the anchor of our lives, the $40,000 down payment that basically bought our house. Mom, Kelly, always managed to sound burdened when she talked about Judy, rolling her eyes about having to put up with her visits. But Dad always called Judy the safety net. A safety net they constantly pulled on without any plan to repay it. We were having a barbecue at the very house Judy helped secure. The air was already tight. Mom hated hosting, and Judy was running late, which meant we couldn't eat. My parents and Mark were standing by the grill, whispering complaints. Mom was particularly venomous that day. She scoffed and said, the words cutting right through the smoke, I hope she got into an accident and won't come. And then the sound that absolutely haunts me. Everyone laughed. My dad, my brother, Mark, we all laughed. It was a quick, collective, ugly sound of relief and malice. Then the gate clicked. Sound of a gate latch and squeak. Judy walked in, carrying her famous peach pie. She didn't smile. The laughter stopped instantly. The air went still, heavy, and cold. She knew. She heard. She had to have. And none of us, not one of us, had the courage to look her in the eye. For the next 3 hours, Judy sat alone at the far end of the patio. We tried to overcompensate with loud, fake chatter. Mom and Dad acted like nothing happened, but their voices were too high-pitched, strained. Judy just nursed a glass of water and watched us. She watched us eat her food, sitting like a silent judge. I couldn't move. My gut twisted with the knowledge that she was hurting, and we were the cause. That entire time, no one went near her, no one asked how she was, no one even said a strained hello. She was an unseen presence. When the party finally wound down, she got up, went to the food table, and picked up her empty pie dish. Sound of ceramic clinking, followed by a quiet sigh. The pie was gone. Every slice. The dish was empty, just like the gratitude in the room. I felt a cold dread as she walked past me, the silence louder than any yelling. She was a used vending machine carrying her empty container away. I didn't say goodbye. She didn't say goodbye. That was the last normal family moment we ever had, and it was filled with utter silence. To understand the silence at that barbecue, you have to rewind 30 years. Judy wasn't just my sister's older sister, she was the protege. She got the better grades, the early acceptance into college, and the lucrative job. Mom, Kelly, got married young, had us early, and the money stress started immediately. In our house, there was always this background noise of envy. Mom always complained that Judy got the brains and the easy path, and Kelly got the bills and the struggle. She felt like life owed her a favor, and since Judy had won the career lottery, Judy was the one who had to pay that debt. Mom never saw Judy's money as a gift. She saw it as reparations. She'd say, it's Judy's turn to help the family. When Judy divorced, she walked away financially secure, which only intensified Mom's feelings. It wasn't just wealth, it was effortless freedom that Mom desperately resented. That resentment built a foundation under our house, made of spite and expectation. My family wasn't just lucky to have Judy, they were addicted to her generosity. I want to itemize this for you, so you understand the scale of what they lost and what Judy finally had to protect. The biggest sum was the $40,000 for our house, a direct transfer that saved us from being renters. But there was also the $20,000 for my grandparents' new roof, ensuring their home was safe. For me, the $3,000 braces. For Tyler, the $1,500 computer. And beyond those big numbers, it was the small, relentless drains. $5,000 for family vacations Mom swore she'd save for, $8,000 over 5 years for various car repairs and surprise medical deductibles. The crucial point, Judy didn't have loan papers. She didn't have agreements. Judy just gave it. She thought love and family were the only guarantees she needed. They had taken close to $80,000 over the years, all without a single repayment or even a sincere thank you. They had bled her dry emotionally while keeping their hands full of her cash. It's easy to focus on Mom and Dad, but the real disappointment was my grandparents. They weren't just innocent bystanders, they were active participants in this toxic cycle. They accepted that $20,000 for the roof, a gift that saved their retirement funds. Yet, when Mom made that joke at the barbecue, I distinctly heard my grandmother's high, nervous giggle and my grandfather's deep, confirming chuckle. They wanted the money, but they certainly didn't want the responsibility of having to be nice to get it. Their role was passive aggression. They'd complain to Judy about my parents' struggles, subtly encouraging her to open her wallet, but they always validated Mom's bitterness behind Judy's back. They used Mom's resentment as a shield. They were just as entitled, just quieter about it. They thought their age and relationship with Judy gave them a lifetime pass on basic respect. And in that one moment, when they joined in that cruel laugh, they signed off on the entire family's behavior. That sound, the sound of all 4 of them laughing, was the true confirmation that Judy was nothing but a resource to them. The first sign of war was subtle. Mom had been out buying school supplies, something she was using Judy's authorized credit card for. She called Judy, screaming about a banking mistake. I could hear Mom's voice, high and panicked. Judy, my card was declined. You need to fix this right now. But Judy didn't scream back. That was the most terrifying part. She was utterly calm, utterly professional. She said, I heard what you said at the barbecue, Kelly. I'm done being your ATM machine. Don't call me again. And then she hung up. My mother actually dropped her phone. The entitlement was so deep, she couldn't process that the money tap had been turned off. Then the barrage started. My father, Mark, began texting Judy frantic, manipulative messages. Text message pop-ups, you're being unreasonable. Think about the kids, Judy. This is family, you can't do this over a joke. They were begging, but they never apologized for the words, only for the inconvenience. They couldn't believe their safety net had become a tripwire. Judy wasn't just mad, she was calculating. She immediately called her lawyer, Rachel, and began the process of systematic removal. She went through every single document connecting her to us. First, the locks. She changed the locks on her house, effectively blocking Mom from even showing up unannounced. But the real cold shower was the power of attorney. Mom was listed as Judy's POA, which meant if Judy ever became incapacitated, Mom could make her financial and medical decisions. Think about that. Mom could have decided if Judy lived or died, and we all knew Mom saw Judy as an obstacle. Judy realized she wasn't just living with resentment, she was sleeping next to a viper. She revoked the POA, removed us from her will, and changed every single life insurance beneficiary. We weren't just cut off financially, we were legally deleted. The family realized they had just lost a multi-million-dollar inheritance over a 5-second joke. That's when the panic turned to genuine fear. The deepest point of their rage was the realization that the initial $40,000 for the house was gone forever. Since Judy gifted it without a loan agreement, they were legally entitled to keep that money, even though they wished her dead. They got to keep the down payment, but they lost everything else. The irony was suffocating. Then came the ultimate act of finality. Judy had been secretly planning to give Mom $100,000 for her upcoming 40th birthday, a monumental, life-changing sum. Instead of funding my mother's extravagant lifestyle, Judy donated that exact amount to a local charity that provides housing for homeless families. $100,000 went to people who actually needed it and who would be genuinely grateful. It was Judy's powerful statement that money went to people who deserved life, not people who hated the source of the gift. It was the moment she permanently replaced her obligation to us with genuine purpose. My parents didn't believe Judy was serious until they drove to her house ready for a massive showdown. Mom tried her spare key. Sound of a key rattling uselessly in a lock, it didn't work. Judy had changed the locks. My mom, Kelly, started hammering on the door, screaming, "Judy, I know you're in there. You're being insane." Echo effect on the yelling. Judy never answered. She just sat inside, protected by a new set of steel bolts and a silence heavier than any argument. That's when the realization hit them. She was untouchable. Worse, Dad discovered she'd put her house into a trust. This wasn't just about the money she had now, it was about the money she would ever have. Upon her death, the house would be sold and the proceeds donated entirely to charity. They wouldn't just be cut out of her will, they would inherit absolutely nothing ever. The inheritance they felt was their birthright was simply erased from existence. I couldn't bear the tension, not just at home, but inside myself. I knew I was guilty too. I finally called Judy and begged her to meet me. We met at a quiet cafe. I was terrified she'd treat me like she treated Mom. Soft, reflective music begins. I confessed immediately. Emma dialogue, softly, "Aunt Judy, I'm so sorry." I know I laughed too. It was mean. It wasn't a joke. She looked at me, not with rage, but with profound sorrow. She explained the difference. "Your laugh was a mistake, Emma. Your parents' laughter was confirmation." She told me I was a child caught in the middle of adult entitlement and that she still loved me, but she had to protect herself from them. In that conversation, she didn't just forgive me, she gave me perspective, showing me that being an adult meant setting boundaries, even if it meant separating from your own blood. While I was building a fragile connection with Judy, my parents were collapsing. The financial safety net was gone, and they couldn't afford the life they thought they deserved. The house Judy helped buy quickly became their financial prison. The arguments were constant, loud, and always about money. Mom took on a second, exhausting night job. Dad worked every piece of overtime he could get. The atmosphere was poisonous. We lost the cable, the eating out stopped, and every unexpected bill resulted in a screaming match. They called Judy a monster and a disappointment to their friends, but I saw the truth. They weren't suffering because Judy was cruel. They were suffering because they were finally forced to live within their own, limited means. The weight of their own debt, which Judy had shielded them from for years, crushed their marriage. 2 years later, Judy was completely gone. She had sold her house and moved to a new neighborhood, not even telling me the address, just in case. But she kept her promise. At my high school graduation, I scanned the crowd and found her sitting alone in the back. She was there for me. The contrast was startling. My parents were tense and loud, already arguing about the cost of my college applications. I met Judy afterward, away from my family. Emma dialogue, warmly, "I'm so glad you came." She smiled, pulled out a card, and inside was a check for $5,000. Close up on the check, I started crying. Emma dialogue, "Aunt Judy, you didn't have to do this. After everything, you really didn't have to." She just hugged me tight. That check wasn't just money, it was her final, profound statement that she chose love and respect over revenge. It was the culmination of our fragile, independent bond, and the only piece of her kindness left in my life. 2 years have passed since Aunt Judy became a ghost. For my parents, nothing has truly changed. They still blame her. They still call her a cruel monster who abandoned her family. They look at our struggling lives, at the stress, the debt, the extra jobs, and they see proof of Judy's malice. But I see the opposite. I see the consequences of entitlement. My family thought money was love. Judy taught me that respect is love. They lost their life of luxury the moment they chose disrespect. Judy didn't destroy our family. She simply withdrew her financial oxygen and the suffocating resentment they already had rushed in to fill the vacuum. She found peace, purpose, and dignity in her new life, donating money to strangers who genuinely needed it. My parents are bound to this house, the very one she helped them buy, but it's a financial prison now. I still see her, thanks to my apology, but I go to college knowing my life is built on my own merit, not on her pity. And that, I realized, is the most valuable inheritance she could have ever given me. So, after hearing the whole story, I have to ask you, was Judy too harsh? Or was she absolutely right to protect her own peace, her life, and her health? When does a family obligation end and self-preservation begin? And what about me? Was my apology enough to save my relationship with her, or was I just lucky? I want to know your thoughts. Have you ever had to cut off a family member over money or toxicity? Tell me your story in the comments below. Let's create a community around this difficult, crucial conversation. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire hour. This story was incredibly hard to share, but I hope it helps someone else find the courage to walk away from a toxic situation. If you found this story compelling and you want to support more deep dive narratives, please like this video and hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps me more than you know. Check out the videos on your screen for more stories of toxic family dynamics and finding personal freedom.